Hello, this is Dr. Christy Patton-Lukes, and I want to, in this video, talk about video reports for unit operations labs. So, from the syllabus, what it says is that you're going to produce a video report for one of the experiments this semester. The audience in this case, who you're speaking to, is future students in this course. So, in fact, one of the videos this semester will be shown to the students next semester. Okay. In general, everyone needs to participate approximately equally, right? It doesn't need to be down to the second, but, roughly equally in on-screen time. You can have a little fun with these, right? It's okay to be fun as long as the content you present is correct and all in there, all right? You can submit these via the Microsoft Teams folder uploaded, or you can provide a link if you upload it to, say, YouTube or something like that. I'll talk more about that later. So what is the content of this video? Again, it's a pre-lab video. This is going to be shown to the students sort of like what we did in lecture class, okay, when I kind of gave a preamble to what the experiments were. So I want you to talk briefly about what the possible objectives are. For many of our experiments, there are variations, right? So in our first experiment, one team changed the length of the tubes, another changed the diameter, another changed the exit altitude, okay? Lots of different things that we could have changed. And so go over what the variations on the objectives may be, depending on exactly what their setup is. Those are all in the lab write-up, so you're not guessing at what those are. You want to give an overview of the procedure. Now, not like a very, very detailed procedure. Open valve A, make sure that such and such is in this position. But you can show them with the actual equipment if you need to go into the lab to do this. If you need to work with me to check out some of the equipment, feel free. But you want to do an overview of the procedure, okay? You want to be able to point out to them all the data they need to collect, okay? It is not uncommon that maybe you are measuring a temperature and you're like, I don't know why I'm measuring a temperature. We're trying to find pressure information. Well, you're doing that because that's how you verify what the properties of the water or liquid that you are using for your experiment. Okay, so that was why you were recording that. So be sure that you let them know all the different data they're not going to need to be collecting. So maybe it's the diameter of the tube, right? Is it the inside or the outside diameter they need? Maybe they need to know the lengths or the elevations or whatever. Why are they using those? So you might want to show some equations that tell them, why they're using these various things. And then where can they apply design of experiment principles, right? So in essence, we're talking about repetition, randomization, okay? Those are going to be key elements there. And then you also want to be sure to address any safety issues that they may face. So that's the content. As far as how you will be graded, the rubric is available on Canvas. This is what we've got here. So 10 points is about the airtime, okay? It's evenly distributed. I'm not giving you a time limit on this. If it's 5 minutes, that's okay, as long as everything is covered. I'd rather it not be like 30 minutes, though, okay? So not excessively long, evenly distributed, that's 10 points. You should describe the objective, okay, right? You want to make sure it's correct and well stated. You might look at the graded calculation memos that you've gotten back on this so that you will have a guide on, maybe where you went a little bit astray on that. The procedure needs to be correct. Don't give too much detail, but point out everything that you wish you had known before you got there, okay? And then show the equipment, point out whatever important features there are. It's like, there's a solenoid valve in this. Show them where that solenoid valve is, okay? Demonstrate how it can be operated properly. Remember, if you're actually filming this you need to have a TA present if you're operating the equipment, so you'll need to work on scheduling that. Tell the viewer what data needs to be collected. This is another 10-point item, and show them how they can measure that, what piece of equipment they would use to measure it, whatever. Describe the purpose of the data. What are they going to be doing with this? Is this going into an equation that is the ultimate, endpoint of the problem, or is it just in order to get data? All right. Showing equations if you need to, you don't have to. Okay. Point out places where they can do their own design of experiment. Okay. Where do they get to make their own decisions? Don't tell them what the best answer is. Okay. There are lots of different best answers, so just point out where they get to make their own choices. And then safety. Okay. Make sure that you include all the safety that's necessary, okay, that it's complete and correct. And you can demonstrate that if that's appropriate, if there's something unusual that you need to do. So, for instance, the submersible pumps need to be submersed in water. That actually does become a safety precaution of sorts, okay? You want to make sure that you are using grounded outlets, etc. You don't want to demonstrate that one, okay? Please don't shock yourself to make a point. And then 20 points is on your individual presentation style. So everyone will get a different grade on this portion here. So you want to be clear, you want to be audible, you want to use good grammar. You want to make sure that the part you say is correct. If someone else makes a mistake, if it's in the slides, that's going to go against the team. If it is in just what they spoke, then that goes against them. Okay? You want to try to avoid these annoying mannerisms. So a lot of uhs and ums, okay? I know I put a lot of those in my speech, so it's hard to avoid. But you also want to do things like, the hair fidgeting or the lots of looking up and talking to the ceiling, because that's sort of obnoxious. I know that it's weird because you're talking to a camera, okay? But talk to the camera or to the screen in general, frontward facing, not some sort of weird random looking off to another direction, okay? And be sure that you introduce yourself and what topic you are going to be speaking on. Okay, so that's how you're going to be graded. There are some tools that you might use. Some of you are good at, how to record videos. Some of you are a little more iffy on this. So one thing you can do is you can just create a PowerPoint slide. And you can actually, within PowerPoint, go to slideshow, then record slideshow. And if you have a video camera set up, if you have a microphone set up, it will draw those tools in and it will insert those. And so you can do it that way and just save the PowerPoint recording. Okay, that is one way of doing it. You can also use Zoom or something like that, another video conferencing tool. Especially with a group report like this, sometimes that is the easiest way to get everyone in there at the same time. Be sure you're using the screen share, and you might want to practice that before you use it. You can use your cell phones and record all the different segments and then tie them together. You can even use, title slides that pop up in between speakers so you don't have to worry about weird transitions. Editing on campus, we have Windows Live Movie Maker, which is on Apps Anywhere. Camtasia is the one I typically use, and I have it on my personal machine, but it's also available in the Writing Center, or you may have your own software you prefer, okay? It's also possible that you could just do the entire thing in one, fell swoop and use your computer or cell phone to do the entire thing as a continuous video. Or you may have something else, okay? Up to you. But those are some possibilities. Ultimately, I really would like this to be an MP4 file, okay? If it's the embedded PowerPoint, I can convert that later. I need it to be available to me to use for future semesters. That's going to be really important. So you need to either, if you are uploading it directly to YouTube, which is fine, okay, if you want to do it that way. But it needs to either be made public, which is not necessarily what I recommend, or probably the best would be to make it so that anyone who has the link can view it, and then that way I could put the link in for future students. All right. Sort of a compromise on preserving your privacy. You also can just make the file, the raw MP4 file, available to me on Microsoft Teams, and I can download it and then upload it to my own YouTube channel. And that is certainly an option also. Okay? Probably the easiest for most of you. So some tips for making better videos. The first thing is that I always recommend that you test your equipment before you use it. Okay? Even if it's equipment that you use all the time. So every time I make one of these videos, I always first do a sound check and a camera check to make sure that they are working right. Every once in a while, there's been an update and the settings are just a little different than where I had them last. Okay? So you want to make sure that the sound level is okay. Will you be heard? Okay? When you have this embedded video, now with Camtasia, I'll be able to move and adjust that later. But some of them, you really don't get a choice. At the end, you get what you get. Okay? Make sure it's not blocking any important content. And then you need to know what the timing is of using your particular choice of software. Does it start recording the minute you push record? Or like in Camtasia, I get a 3, 2, 1. I get a countdown. And so I push record and then I have a countdown and then I begin recording. So you need to know that. And then the other thing is consider your background. Now, one thing you might, like take a video and then look at what's behind you and how terrible is it. Today, I am actually not doing a great example of an awesome background. I am in a room that is rather cluttered. I do have a screen back behind me that's kind of blocking some of the worst of it. Normally I have a green screen and I would use that, but the sun is coming at an unfortunate angle this morning. I actually have an umbrella that you can't see, but I have an umbrella that is blocking the worst of the sun, but I am having to sort of hover over in one corner of the room right now. So just kind of look at that. If you notice that there's something really horrendous there, you might try just rotating the camera. And, it may be an awkward setup or position, but it's only for a few minutes. And so you can put up with some, discomfort for a few minutes. Another thing is, if you wish, you can use the classrooms. Okay, they are available. They have all the equipment you need. They have software. Okay, so that is also an option. So I think that that's all I have to say about videos for the pre-lab videos for the Unit Ops class. If you have any questions, be sure to ask.